The Russian-Ukrainian war showed once again that the tank is still the king of war. It has the last word in the seizure of territory. This also applies to cities. When capturing Ukrainian regional centers, the Russians formed assault groups, always including a tank, which could break any reinforced concrete shelters with its cannon, break through any barriers with its shells and caterpillars, and could shelter friendly attacking infantry with its armor. But if the tank is the king of war, who in this kingdom is the greatest? What tank is considered the most formidable? Who is the king of kings? Of course, there's no consensus, but most military experts think that it's the American Abrams tank, which is sometimes respectfully called the hard-headed Abrams for its power and protection. By the way, in the near future, it'll show what it really can do, because just last week, President Biden signed an order to send 31 Abrams tanks to the war in Ukraine, where we'll see just how good it is in real combat conditions against the most modern Russian T-14 Armata tanks, which Russians have boasted about for years at their military parades in Crimea. Well, which one of them is better? We'll find out soon, so subscribe to our channel not to miss out on anything, and meanwhile, we'll tell you about the latest modification of the main U.S. tank. The emergence of powerful T-64, T-72, and T-80 tanks in the USSR led to tensions among NATO members and required an immediate response from them. Thus, the German Leopard 2, the British Challenger, the Italian Ariete, and the French Leclerc appeared as a response to the Soviet Union. But all the Allies' most powerful response was the belligerent and powerful American Abrams. The M1 remains the main battle tank of the United States, in service with the U.S. Army and Marine Corps, as well as the armies of Egypt, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Australia, and since 2010, Iraq. This tank took part in the Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm, the war in Afghanistan, Operation Enduring Freedom, and the war in Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Currently, there are plans for delivering Abrams tanks to Poland and Taiwan. Currently, the tank repair plant in Lima is only modernizing previously produced tanks, as the Detroit tank plant was closed in 1996. However, the total production of more than 10,000 tanks and their high modernization potential makes it possible to produce quite good tanks after modernization. In the United States, it's planned to extend the service life of the tank until 2050, approximately 70 years after its adoption. The M1A2C, also known as the M1A2 SEP V3, which appeared in 2015, is the most modern modification of the tank. But what does it look like? The most striking characteristic is the massiveness of the multi-layer armor, which makes it look rough and clumsy. But it's thanks to this armor that the tank can carry a combat weight of up to 63 tons. The crew of the tank is standardly equipped with 4 people, and the most protected part of the tank is the frontal projection of the turret on the hull. Combined Army modules, which consist of 2 thick sheets of metal and a filler between them, help protect against various types of projectiles, such as cumulative and subcaliber shells. Previously, the tank's components included ceramic plates, which were eventually improved with depleted uranium. By the way, Abrams is now using the 3rd generation of uranium armor, which makes the frontal projection of the turret much more protected. Abrams tanks are considered the most protected of all modern tanks because, for example, this type of protection would be equal to that of a 1,600mm thick steel plate, and when using subcaliber tanks, 960mm. Hardy Abrams. These tanks fully justify their nickname. 1,100 and 700mm are the dimensions of the frontal hull, while the turret armor, although also multi-layered, is much less powerful, 550mm of solid steel. As for the armor on the sides of the hull, which is additionally protected by 14 hinged screen modules, it's not very thick and is approximately 35mm. The inclination of the upper frontal part of the case reaches 82 degrees, which also contributes to additional protection. 2 of the 6 fuel tanks are also located in the front, where if hit, the fuel can be successfully poured out thanks to a high-pressure jet. The Abrams is equipped with an Avco Lycoming AGT 1500 gas turbine power plant with a capacity of 1,500 horsepower, which gives the tank a very high power-to-weight ratio, up to 28 horsepower per ton in various modifications, surpassing most other tanks in this indicator. The M1 Abrams transmission is automatic, combined with the engine. The transmission is hydromechanical and has 4 forward and 2 reverse gears. The speed is 65 to 72 kilometers an hour forward, depending on the modification, and up to 30 kilometers an hour reverse. Many Abrams M1A1 and M1A2 were equipped with an auxiliary power unit. The unit was placed behind the turret in a special armored box and provided power to electrical equipment when the main engine was turned off. During the fighting in Iraq, it became known that the engine was the main weakness of the tank, and in 2003 they began to get rid of it. Back in 1985, the tank received a powerful and improved 120mm M256 gun, a descendant of the RH-120 made by Rheinmetall for the Leopard 2 tank. But before that, the vehicles were equipped with the M68A1 gun, a slightly modified 105mm L7 gun made in Britain. The current gun is stabilized in 2 planes and has excellent accuracy at ranges from 600 to 12,000 meters. In addition, it uses a wide range of ammunition, including sub-caliber ammunition with depleted uranium fins and core, as well as cumulative high-explosive and anti-personnel ammunition. The ammunition package contains 40 to 42 rounds, 36 of which are placed in the aft turret, and 4 or 6 inside the hull. We should not forget about the machine guns, which are also actively used. There's an anti-aircraft machine gun on the roof of the turret, which can be equipped with an M240 machine gun of 7.62mm caliber or a Browning M2HB of 12.7mm caliber. The other 2 machine guns are M240s, one paired with the cannon and the other placed in front of the loading hatch. The Abrams also has 66mm smoke grenade launchers on the sides of the turret. One of the Abrams' greatest improvements is its fire control system, FCS, which is considered the best in the world today and can fire on a tank target at a distance of up to 3.1 miles. In addition, the gunner can use both daylight and infrared channels, and the crew commander can fire and aim independently and can engage both stationary and moving targets. 8 periscopes provide an all-around view. Communication with the command post and other combat vehicles can be carried out via satellite, even using commercial networks. The biggest difference between the newest Abrams modification and the previous ones is the availability of a system that will allow the tank to meet the requirements of the network-centered warfare concept. No more significant differences are the high-explosive fragmentation tracer round with a programmable fuse and the Tank Urban Survival Kit, TUSK, designed for survival in urban environments and developed during the war in Iraq. This system has aerodynamic protection, which is installed on the sides of the tank to prevent the ingress of high-explosive shells and grenades. The kit also includes additional shields and thermal imaging sights for machine guns on the turret roof, as well as underbody reinforcements. But no matter how perfect this vehicle may seem, everything in this world has flaws, and the Abrams is no exception. Even slight damage to the tank's armor produces a lot of uranium dust, which is very poisonous. This situation does not allow you to stay without a gas mask for a long time, not only in the vehicle, but even close to it. One of the tank's main Achilles heels is also the armored door in the turret niche, which is usually hit by grenade launchers. Such a design would be considered effective if the tanks were used in tight combat formations without exposing the sides, because then the ammunition is protected by the heavy armor of the turret. But in localized wars, this makes absolutely no sense, and this feature of the tank becomes its disadvantage. The third thing worth noting is that on top of the turret, above the ammunition, there are baffle panels that are supposed to protect the crew during the burnout of powder in the shell casings when the ammunition is hit and the shells catch fire, diverting the flame energy upwards. However, they cannot protect against an explosion if the ammunition contains at least one high-explosive projectile. Among NATO tanks, the Abrams is the most vulnerable to attacks in the upper hemisphere. Its roof and upper hull do not have special armor packages, and its large size makes it easy to hit these areas. The huge gap between the turret and the hull does not add to the defense. Despite all the shortcomings, the Abrams remains a powerful and formidable combat vehicle capable of bringing success and victory. On January 25, 2023, it became known that the United States had agreed to send 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine, but delivery times and military training usually take a long time. Well, we'll keep monitoring this. What do you think about it? Will Abrams be able to smash the advanced Russian tanks? Write about it in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. We have a lot of interesting reviews coming soon.